All right, welcome back to Soul Spark Tarot. I'm your host, Mr. Renew. And last time we had pretty much a nice little yap session, and I pulled like four cards, and the gist of it was change how you thinking, change how you changing, change it a new way. Um, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to see if we can pull on some other energies, because I think that was pretty straightforward. If you need another example, I said that I did not want to really keep teaching. I want to teach things that I want, and those things are things of the heart. And so instead of you teaching the education system, I want to use the education system to teach people how to, love themselves and love change. And that comes with things like we do in the education system, such as GATE and KBID and NNAT. These are things that people do. These are intelligent test assessments. And I think it does require a certain level of intelligence to be a spiritual person. You have to learn. You have to process. And if you don't know how to recognize the things that you've learned to process, then you're just a regular ass person. So just like anybody would need to study in order to do something, let's look on the back side, the dark side. You got to study the spell book, right? You got to study your opponent. Those are required in order to like do something to somebody. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know who you're doing it to. Basic, right? You just don't know that shit. But with on the good side, you don't need to know anything like that, but you still got to do a one thing. You got to do at least one thing. And you got to like pray or have faith or manifest or visualize. There's always one thing you can do on a good thing, on the good side, the front end. But on the back end, the dark side, you always got to do two. Always. So this 2-to-1 ratio, it's, again, it's two because there's always two things that build into one until you introduce a third. You can do that, but that requires intelligence. So because people just operate in either doing devilish start things where they gotta do double time, or do devilish start or do positive things, you just gotta do one thing, but it may be good or it may be bad. Intelligence is how we pick and choose the best way to go. So, when you're putting your emotions to the test by your mind, battling your emotions, your thoughts are going to be met with new types of emotions. I wasn't expecting this. I didn't calculate that. I didn't anticipate this. When you have both of those things happening, the idea is you should come up with something new. You should be able to be the moderator between the two. You should be the judge and say, this information is about 60% right, that one is about 40% right. If you can't do that with yourself, that means you can't appreciate all parts of the you. So how are you going to do that with another person? Whether that's for a job or friendship or romance. So, easy. The devil side of you can put on a facade. The devil side of you can even trick you. And so you might go and do a job that you like and you do it well, but you really don't like it because of how you need to cope, of how you need to respond, of what you need to do in order to prepare. You might not enjoy that, but there's other things that you can enjoy. And guess what? You don't need to prepare as much. You will spend more time doing the job instead of preparing or diffusing from it. You will be more willing to leave more space. Flip flop the 40 and turn into a 60. So that is the idea. We have to start to see ourselves become a little bit more balanced in our approach to our negativity. Not all bad is bad, not all good is good. So how can we actually apply that? Well, trying stuff. You gotta try some stuff. So Sometimes you need to do some negative things to try some new things. But when you try some stuff, it doesn't stop you. And that is the key. You're never stopped if you try some stuff. So, yesterday I tried to promote my books and I did. Got a number for a person who wants to have a conversation about the topics. Got an email, and then I'm going to send over some free books, and I got a reader. That shit was crazy. In a place where I frequent, in a place where I shouldn't have been really. I was at a dispensary. So I went to a dispensary and started yapping about books and self help. That was crazy to me. The negative part was, I mean, again, I shouldn't be smoking anything, right? But then at the end of the day, there was a good benefit. It showed me myself, especially after a day of working and, coming from a place where I was just feeling like this. I just went and I still had some work to do. So let me go, diffuse and then do what I need to do. So here we have the Death card, Queen of Presents, and the Knight of Presents. Exactly. Transmutation of these routines is what's happening. The things that make you sad, the things that drain your energy, the things that don't just give you life, the things that just make you pretty much just neutral. I'm just a cog in the wheel, man. This is just my day-to-day routine. I transform shit, I make things better, and I'll happily do it. And you know what? I just live my life, man. No, your life is calling for a change, and I don't want you to think that change means anything drastic, bro. A change means you can be doing four things, you can drop it to three. That little ass change is not going to make some huge ass thing happen tomorrow. But if you keep being okay with that idea of dropping things, not the fact that you got one less thing to do, the fact that you had the strength to say, nah, I'd rather just do these three, then that is the power that you should focus on. And that is a devilish power. And even though it's clearly creating good outcomes, it's a devilish thing to sever a tie that you entertained energetically. And that's only simply because we're entertaining it. If it was just in your proximity and you didn't entertain it, that's a different story. There's nothing wrong with that. It's neutral. It's just there. It's background. But if you are like, let's say, going to the gym and there's a person you wanted to talk to, and then y'all don't end up talking, and like you're still energetically like looking at them or wanting them, and y'all just it doesn't turn into anything. That is the devilish thing because you're entertaining it energetically. You're giving it a hope, a joy, as if it will be nurtured, and nobody has the time for that. So just like over here, we have to start to see the things that we have time to nurture. It takes time to bake that pie. You gotta see what takes time for us because we can also see what takes time from us. So, looking at the time that you're currently in, you gotta look at the things that you wanna nurture, the things that you're good at nurturing, and then the things that need to transform from that goodness. Same thing could be applied for that badness. See what is actually good, see what is actually bad, and put yourself in a position to where you can actually see the benefit of both so then you can make a new strategic choice amongst them all. Again, I like learning and I like teaching, so I might as well start teaching myself and learning for myself in different jobs that will allow me to learn more about myself. So I'm looking for another job and I'm looking for it in a certain way. And guess what? I'm I'm looking at different industries. Things I would have never considered, like things that make me use my voice and stand up and speak and talk to people. I don't mind doing that whatsoever. I got a lot of practice with it. And I just never had a job to where that was the job. Managing an account. No, I'd rather just manage a classroom. Still people, still topics, still subjects, still numbers, still analytics. All this shit is the same. It's more so. It's more so because I got to deal with multiple people's emotions unified. Versus if I'm just managing a money account, is that person and what they need? That's easy as fuck, relative to a classroom. So, I I've been really trying to diversify how I'm thinking about myself and what I do for people. And I'm not thinking of it anymore as good or bad. I'm just thinking of it as data collection. And I'm just sorting out my laundry and recyclables. Perfect. So, what this is saying to us is what we're transmuting are things we sum ourselves up to be. Just the teacher, just the nurse, just the construction worker, just the server, just the barista, whatever you just are, just the mom, just the dad, just the person. I'm just here. Whatever you are, you're learning to see this justice in another way. And that way comes from you now, not seeing it upright, not seeing it downright, but at some kind of diagonal, which comes twofold. So, because you can alternate this and still see things the same way, this shows us that we need to throw the whole bathwater with the baby away. Throw it all away because, again, you still got the light inside of you and just build a new canvas to express that. That is the transformation. That's the depth. Instead of baking pies, start making cheesecakes. One use the oven, one use, the fridge. The creation of new opportunities, new things, new explorations, those are the things that's going to keep you focused. Exactly. You're keeping yourself focused on the things that you need to call judgment upon. That is the key. You're thinking, you're talking, you're discussing, you're socializing, you're interacting, just so you can check that shit off the list or write something new on the list. Naughty list, nice list. You're making the judgments on what is good for you. This is damn near my favorite card, bro. Temperance. You're brewing up something new. You're taking two things that would normally never go together, hydrogen and oxygen, and you're brewing that shit together and making the most wonderful, most life sustaining thing possible water. It's crazy, but it's because you're seeing the layers behind yourself. It's crazy, but it's because you're seeing yourselves through the layers of the previous you. You're looking through the looking glass. The glass is already looking, so when you look through it, you gotta understand that's a third thing. Exactly. And won't they know, see that I am a genius? Whatever. The diversification is going to allow you to burn these candles brighter because you're taking away the ones that take away from your energy. So, again, I don't want to go to a place for a job. I'd rather have a job any place. I don't need to. So, what does that mean? Probably got to start off at an entry level position somewhere, making a little ass bit of money. But guess what? I'm in a position to where that will be okay. And then I can change and eventually apply myself, learn skills that I can apply for myself, especially with the extra time. Again, I don't have to go anywhere if I don't have to go anywhere. Then guess what? Boom, I can choose to be anywhere, which is going to give me the power to continue to learn and grow. It's going to make me burn brighter. It's going to make me feel good standing out amongst other people who stand out because now we don't look to stand out, we look to stand in. That big fish has exited that small ass pond. I don't care. I don't care. I got more freedom now. I feel good. I'm still a big fish, but it's a bigger pond now. It's a lake. But other big fish are in this lake and other small fish are in this lake, but because they're small doesn't mean they weren't big before. So we don't even consider those things like we done once before. I don't care. But what we do care about is how we are working together. The in group, the cool kids club, the weirdos of society. Those are the people who are just shining bright with the things that shine them up. So if you're interested in drawing or painting, singing, dancing, do the things that make yourself happy, not make you fuck you. You can say fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You can keep saying that, but you can't say fuck yourself because that foundational self makes all the versions of you. So when you focus on what makes yourself happy, you're focusing on what makes that individual part of you happy. It's the individualization. It's this candle versus that candle versus that candle. When you have that individualization but it's the same appreciation, when I'm talking to one student but I fucking love my whole class, you start to see more from the things that you're interacting with. You get to see more from yourself because it gets to be itself. You don't judge that part of you for liking, to smoke and go to the dispensary. You don't judge yourself for that because you're not always smoking and at the dispensary. So you can't judge yourself for wanting to go to the movies and get scared. You can't judge yourself for wanting to go to the movies or to the mall and spend money. You shouldn't judge yourself for wanting to take your dog on a walk, and not work on your project. You don't have to worry if you accept all parts of yourself. You can just say, it's a time, man, it'll pass. And most of the time it do. So with that time passing, what are you going to do? Are you going to let the things transform in the way that they need to individually? Or are you going to force things to stay damp and you're going to try to overconsume on others? What will you do? What action will you take? Where will you lead yourself down this memory lane? What will you do to give yourself more of you? I don't know, but good luck on your thoughts. See ya. Peace.